Hey everybody, how you guys doing? This is Carl. Welcome to Carl's Opinion. This is our Saturday Night Live call-in show. Welcome everybody aboard. I see a lot of good people in the chat already. And to all those who are viewing us now and will be viewing us later, thanks for joining us. Anyway, a lot of news to get to tonight. And as you see, a big story here. 1 in 4 federal appeals judges appointed by President Trump. And that is a crazy serious number. That is just an amazing number in less than 3 years. Definitely holds the record right now for doing that. Because, we all talk about the Supreme Court, how important that is, and God knows that is important. But, a lot of, most cases don't get to the Supreme Court. I mean, it's one court. They only go from October, I believe, the first Monday in October, like the old movie. First Monday in October, and they stop hearing cases. I want to say May or June, they stop hearing them and they start, issuing decisions. So, there's only one court. So most of the cases that, end up, the appellate level end up in the Circuit Court of Appeals, First Circuit, Ninth Circuit, Third, Fourth, Fifth, et cetera. And that's where you really want the judges, because in order for the Supreme Court to hear a case, 4 of the justices have to agree to want to hear an appeals court case. So if they don't hear it, then the appeals court decision stands. So if you go to district court, U.S. District Court, and you get a decision you don't like, you appeal it, and then you lose at the excuse me a second, guys. Sorry. And you lose at the Circuit Court of Appeals level, and then the Supreme Court denies writ of certiorari, denies hearing the case. Well, that appeals court decision stands, and that's the law of the land at that point, at least for that particular circuit court, that area. Like the Ninth Circuit covers, like, let's see, Arizona, California, Washington, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, et cetera. So, but it's binding. It's definitely binding on those states in those federal district courts. And then each circuit is different. A lot of times, the Supreme Court will hear a case when you have numerous Circuit Court of Appeals issuing different decisions. So, like, you have the Ninth Circuit saying, the travel, like, say the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals says the travel ban was okay, and then you have, like, say, the Fifth Circuit saying no, it wasn't. So a lot of times the Supreme Court will say, okay, we got these different circuits, issuing different decisions, and we're going to clean this up. And so and then if another case comes up on appeal and it goes to one of the circuits, they'll say, okay, we're going to hear this because we want to have some consistency across the different appellate courts in the country, that kind of thing. So this is super duper important. So let's go and get to this story, and we'll take a look at it right now. And let's see. Wheaton, yes, oh yeah, well, no kidding, yeah. I wonder who went to Wheaton there, Mr. Whalen. Yes. Hey Vince, how you doing? Good seeing you. Something's done here at home. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Saturdays are my get things done too, so I understand that. All right, let's take a look at this story. Okay, so one in four federal appeals judges appointed by Trump, by Alex Sawyer of the Washington Times. So, President Trump has appointed a historic number of federal circuit court judges in his first 3 years in an attempt to remake the federal bench with a conservative bent. And as of this week, he's responsible for 1 in 4 federal appeals court judges. The president and Senate Republicans, primarily Mitch McConnell, thank you very much. I know, I have my problems with Mitch McConnell too, but you know what? These judges will be making decisions for the next, say, 25 years. I mean, that's far past any election. So yeah, I have my problems with Mitch McConnell too, but he's really streamlined the process. He cut down the amount of time it took to debate a judge. Forget the filibuster of just debating. So I mean, before it would take a couple of weeks to confirm one judge. Now he streamlined it, so it's going much quicker. And I mean, a couple of weeks once they get out of committee. Okay, so he got rid of the blue card, because before, like, the senators from California used to be able to, they would have to, approve of a judge for, like, say, even the Ninth Circuit, which is crazy because they're not just in California. I mean, the Ninth Circuit sits, I believe, in San Francisco, but it covers several states. So he got rid of the blue card rule, where senators of a given state could overrule a decision of the president as far as an appointment in a given state. He said, no, we're not doing that anymore, because, that's one reason why the Ninth Circuit always became, the most liberal Circuit Court of Appeals in the country, was because they were allowing the liberal senators from California, Washington, Oregon to be able to make the call on these things. So he said, no, we're getting rid of that. So, I mean, even the Ninth Circuit's got a lot of conservative judges right now. I want to say the number is almost like 45 or 50% conservative appointed judges on the Ninth Circuit right now, which is a pretty crazy number. But anyways, continue. So the president and Senate Republicans have confirmed 45 circuit court nominees out of a total of 179. So, right, 25% would be if there were 180. So just a little bit more than 25% authorized federal appeals court judgeships, leading to Trump appointees making up 25% of the judgeships at that level. This president and this Senate have prioritized confirming impressive men and women. This is Mitch McConnell's statement. So this president and this Senate have prioritized confirming impressive men and women to these lifetime appointments, talented individuals who believe in the quaint notion that the job of a judge is to apply our nation's laws and Constitution as they are actually written, not as they might wish they were written. Yeah, damn straight. Said McConnell, touting what Republicans have made a major priority during his administration, during this administration. And, everybody says, oh, gee, the evangelicals may not vote again for Trump. Are you insane? Are you insane? Okay, look, the evangelicals, and I say this, I've said this several times, Trump was a New York liberal, okay, pro-choice New York liberal. And so a lot of evangelicals were concerned. Well, wait a second, this guy's like, let's be honest, he's a fornicator, an adulterer, he's all this stuff. It's like, can we trust this guy? And he was pro-choice most of his adult life. So can we trust this guy, to vote for him? So again, what he did was he said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. They were concerned, like, who are you going to pick for judges? Who are you going to pick for the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, U.S. District Court judges? So, of course, he went over to the Federalist Society, says, okay, give me a list. And they gave him this big list of judges, say, give me a list that you guys approve of for me to appoint to the Supreme Court and also for Circuit Court of Appeals and U.S. District Court. And they gave him a big-ass list. And he promised the evangelicals, he made the list public, said, here's the list of judges I will be choosing from. Some liberals were like, oh, this is terrible. He's, pre-picking. Well, he wasn't pre-picking anybody. He had a big-ass list. It wasn't like he had, like, 2 guys on the list. I forget how many it was, but it was a lot. I know it was over 30. And but it was the most transparent thing you could ever do on a campaign trail because, instead of wondering, gee, who are you going to appoint, every president should have to, every candidate running for president should have to do that. These are the list of judges who I'm going to pick from. If you vote for me, this is what you're getting. And that's great. So the evangelicals said, well, we're going to trust him that he's going to keep his word. And guess what? He has. He's kept his word. And, now, as I said the other night, Brett Kavanaugh was not on that initial list, but he was kind of an exception. Anthony Kennedy said, he was like the swing vote on the Supreme Court. He was kind of center right, but he could also go with the liberal justices as well. So he was the swing vote. But so he went to Trump though, and he said, "Look, I'll tell you what, I'm healthy, I'm fine, I love my job, but I will retire early on one condition." He made him a deal. You have one clerk of mine on the Supreme Court right now, whose name for some reason escapes me. I do not know why, but nonetheless, it does. The last guy, whatever his name is, that's terrible. But anyway, you have one of my former law clerks on the Supreme Court, and I tell you what, I want 2 of my law clerks on the Supreme Court, and the other one I want is Brett Kavanaugh. So he said. And so Trump goes, okay, let me check with my people, and went back to his people, and they said, went to the Federalist Society. They said, well, he's not perfect for us, but if Kennedy's willing to retire and give you that pick right now, take it. We're happy. So they made the deal, and of course they picked Brett Kavanaugh, and now he's on the bench. And the funny thing is, Brett Kavanaugh might have been like an Anthony Kennedy on voting and stuff, but after I think he got beat up so much by everybody on the left, I think he's probably going to be more conservative than they initially thought. So let's see here. Good deal, Rocky. But let's see. So let's see what we got here. So according to the Article 3 project, which backs the president's judicial nominees, President Barack Obama had only confirmed 55 circuit court judges during the entire 8 years in office compared to Trump's 45 in just 3 years. So that's like really kick-ass great news. So, and then the next story we're going to get to here is a story here in the Washington Examiner. And they did some polling of swing states. The New York Times actually did some polling of swing states, and they found the majority of Democratic voters in swing states prefer a moderate nominee, which is like not good news. And you saw my title, not good news for Warren, Sanders, and Buttigieg, because that's what Bloomberg was looking at too. I mean, Bloomberg's not, Bloomberg, he's a billionaire. He's worth like $50 billion net worth. And he was looking at what was going on out there, and all those, like, those stupid head-to-head polls you see, like Biden versus Trump, and Biden wins, and all this stupid stuff. Well, Bloomberg, he's been around a long time. Okay, plus was mayor of New York City. He's been in politics for a very long time, a lot of money. He knows those polls are BS. He knows those polls don't mean anything, and so he knows that's not going to cut it. And he figures Warren and Warren's coming up pretty good. She's probably going to overtake him, and she's overtaken him already in Iowa. Biden's running fourth place right now, behind Sanders, Warren, Sanders, and Buttigieg, and Biden in Iowa right now. So Bloomberg's like, okay, that head-to-head poll is stupid. It doesn't mean anything. And he knows that people in the swing states, they're not going to be going for the Warren, the Sanders, or the Buttigieg. That's not going to happen. Especially, Buttigieg's not enough experience. People aren't going to feel, comfortable, electing a guy who one of the candidates said, hey, he got 9,000 votes, in a town, South Bend, Indiana, that hadn't voted for a Republican mayor since 1964. So, like, what can he do? What can he, so he doesn't have a lot of experience. He's able to raise a lot of money, but that's about it. And so anyway, majority of Democratic voters in swing states prefer moderate nominee, the poll says. And let's see here. Most Democrats in the country's battleground states want to vote for a candidate who is more centrist than liberal, according to a new survey. A New York Times Siena College poll released Friday, and again, this is the New York Times, so they're not going to be, if anything, they'd say they want somebody on the left, but, they're saying, well, even the poll we did, and the way we asked the questions, this is the results we got. Hey, Christine, how you doing? Good seeing you over there. So the New York Times Siena College poll released Friday found that voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, these are important states, and Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, and Florida preferred a candidate who would work with the other side of the aisle. Of those surveyed, 62% said they want a nominee who promises to find common ground with Republicans. So there you go. So they want somebody to find common ground with Republicans. Not just common ground. We want you to work with, Republicans. And compared to 33% who said they want a nominee who fights for a bold progressive agenda. Well, that quote, that was like the question that was asked by the pollsters of the people responding. So for them to answer that question specifically, I mean, not everybody volunteered, oh, we don't want somebody for a bold progressive agenda. That was the New York Times putting that language in there, for a bold progressive agenda. Well, they wanted to see what kind of support Warren had. That's pretty much a swipe at Warren and a little bit of Sanders, but primarily Warren, because Warren's always saying, oh, if you're not, go big, go home. If you're not willing to come up with bold ideas, and why even run for president? She was chastising some of the candidates on the stage with her. So they put that question in there. Do you want a candidate who fights for a bold, a nominee who fights for a bold progressive agenda? And only 33% said, yeah. And again, they put this quote in there. This is their question. A nominee who promises to find common ground with Republicans. They wanted to see what was going on out there, because the New York Times doesn't want Trump to win. Let's be honest. They want the Democrats to win, and they don't want to show up. Where they were predicting Hillary Clinton had a 90% chance of winning. Literally on the evening of the election. And suddenly they find Trump winning again. So they're trying to tell the Democrats, hey, pick somebody who can win. And right now, this ain't it. So, and it's not. And the New York Times is saying Warren is not it. Sanders is not it. Buttigieg is not it. We got to find somebody else who can win. And Biden's going down fast. So what's going on? As HA would say, New York Times is setting this up for Hillary Clinton to get into the race, which is seeming more and more definite as time goes on here, because Bloomberg knows he has no chance to win. A billionaire getting the nomination in the Democratic Party, that's not going to happen. He doesn't have the campaign organization structure nationwide like Clinton does. I mean, he doesn't need any donors. He could just put a couple billion in himself, obviously. But still, he doesn't have the campaign structure, the organization, the friends, people. The main thing is people who owe him favors, or people who want to be owed a favor by him. Clinton has all that. That's how she got the Congressional Black Caucus to support her in 2016 and pretty much took the entire South during the Democratic nominating process. So now this is even a more important number here. This one is even more important. Additionally, 55%, that's a big number, Democratic primary voters, 55% say they want the candidate to be more moderate than most Democrats. Again, that's a quote in other words, not everybody just writes in. I want them to, those are questions being asked. That quote, that's a question the pollsters ask of the voters. So they say, do you want a candidate to be more moderate than most Democrats? They ask that of these people in these swing states, Democratic primary voters. And the answering back is yes. They do, 55%, and only 39% prefer the candidate to swing further to the left than most. So, you hear all this like MSNBC and CNN and people in the bubble in New York and D.C. and stuff. Hey, Tony, how you doing down there? Hey, Molly, how you doing? Hey, GTO, how you doing? How you doing? So, let's see. Cannot stand. Right. So, yeah, Christine, I hear you. Christy, I hear you for sure on that one. But yeah, so that's a really important number. So, and so again, Bloomberg's looking at this. Obviously Clinton's looking at this. Obviously, big donors are looking at this. They don't want Trump to win again, and they're saying, okay, we're not gonna wait till the last minute to tell you, hey, don't go down that road. So this is the New York Times admitting that Warren can't beat Trump, Sanders can't beat Trump, Buttigieg can't beat Trump, Biden can't beat Trump. This is them saying that. They're saying we need to get somebody else, and that kind of goes right in line with what Buttigieg's doing out there. Not Buttigieg, what Bloomberg is doing out there. And then, like for instance, here's Bernie Sanders. We'll put this one up right here. Oh wait, let me just hold on a second. Let's see. Oh, okay, real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Joe Biden led in 5 of the 6 states polled. Warren, slight edge in Wisconsin. The only three candidates who brought in double digits were Biden, Warren, and Bernie. And Buttigieg and Harris fell far behind in the trio in all 6 states. So Buttigieg is not getting any traction in the swing states. And again, that's where the battle is going to be in the general election. So if you can't get votes in the swing states, you can't get votes. Buttigieg is polling really, really bad right now with Hispanics and with the black vote. I mean, he's down I think less than 1% with the black vote right now. There's somebody put up a hit piece on a commercial. I don't know who did it, but somebody's got a big hit piece on Buttigieg. It's obviously somebody on the Democratic Party's got a hit piece on him, and they were all attacking him pretty good. Kamala Harris was making fun of him, and a lot of people were. So, I mean, they all kind of went after him. I have a story on that here. But yeah, he's got some serious issues. But yeah, one of the Democrats put this hit piece commercial from a PAC. I don't know who it was, but it was pretty nasty. But anyway, like Bernie Sanders here, I mean, Bernie Sanders concedes his climate plan is expensive. Yeah, freaking expensive. So at an event in Iowa, Bernie Sanders acknowledged that his $16 trillion climate change plan to address climate change is expensive. Okay, I can't do a Sanders as good as HA can, but I do. I do a pretty good one though. So let's see how I can do it. Now I can't do it because I got HA's voice in my head. All right. So anyway, the Saturday event of the Climate Crisis Summit featured both the independent Vermont Senator and Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And was held in Des Moines, Iowa. During the event, Sanders spoke about his Green New Deal plan, which plays off a resolution by Ocasio-Cortez. He says, building on the Green New Deal, we are brought forth a rather detailed proposal, and I've been criticized by some who say it is expensive. Sanders told the crowd Saturday, and he goes, well, they're right. It is. It's $16 trillion. Well, that's a hell of a lot of money. It's like a 10-year plan. That's another 1.6 trillion per year. I mean, that's insane numbers. I mean, that's literally insane. The defense budget is $700 billion. I mean, that's more than twice the defense budget for this Green New Deal. And so the $16.3 trillion plan intends to transition the United States to 100% renewable energy in 10 years. 10 years. Do you realize what that would do to this economy? In 10 years, we're going to be that means no fossil fuels, no coal, no oil, no natural gas, nada, nothing in 10 years. Forget it. This country turns into a disaster. So, and then he's going to pay for it. This is hilarious. And then he says he's going to create 20 million new jobs. Yeah, all government jobs being paid minimum wage because nobody's going to have any money to pay anybody. There's not going to be any wealth to tax once he does this. So he proposes paying for the plan by cutting military spending. We just had to build it back up because we had no military. Increasing taxes on the wealthy Okay, that wealth tax is unconstitutional. That won't get past the Supreme Court. Increasing taxes on corporations, oh, that's just fantastic. The only reason why we have people looking to foreign investors bringing money here versus Europe or anywhere else, because we're at least now competitive with our corporate tax rate. Europe, the big liberal socialist Europe, corporate tax rate is 15%, 15%. We just lowered ours, lowered it down to 21%, which makes it at least competitive, which means we have American money staying here, investing in jobs here. We have foreign investment coming here, investing in jobs here. Louis Vuitton, you saw that thing in Dallas, okay? Litigation, I don't know what that is. I guess tort reform, I don't know what he's talking about. Fees and taxes on the industry. And of course, collecting new income tax from 20 million new jobs created by the plan. Well, you don't get a lot of income tax revenue from people who are making minimum wage, okay, in government jobs. They don't pay a lot in taxes. They just don't, okay? And if they have kids, they pay like nothing in taxes. You got to pay them. So anyway, so that kind of nonsense. And let's see, let's get to, I think over here, let me find the story here. Let me just jump back over here. So while I'm looking for it, you don't have to keep seeing me bounce all over the place. There we go. Hey, there I am. All right, so let me just pull this one story up real quick here, guys. I got it way down here on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay, I'll just get to this one here. All right, this is, let's see, let me pull this up. All right, so let me get back over to here. Okay. Take a look at the chat. Let's see. Plant food, connect the dots. Okay, all life in plants, Georgia. Good one, GTO. I like that. Excellent. Very good. All right, let's take a look at this story over here. Regarding Bloomberg again. So let's take a look. All right. So I'd consider anybody, Democrats, like their 2020 candidates, and yet, and this is from the New York Times. It's actually a pretty good article here. Yeah, I'm a subscriber to those of you new on the site. I'm a subscriber to Washington Times, Washington Examiner, Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and I just subscribed to somebody else. Who was it? Business Insider, I think. Anyway, I like reading New York Times, Washington Post because I like hearing what the other side is saying because I don't want to get stuck in a bubble myself. But also the funny thing is when you read these stories, that you can tell where they're, when you get down in the middle of it, kind of you can see where the left is kind of going, what the media is trying to push the left to do or something, what messages they're trying to send to each other. So it's always good reading these things. But anyway, New York Times, this is actually a really good article on this one. Okay, I consider anybody, Democrats like their 2020 candidates, and yet, I like it, and yet, ... So Michael Bloomberg is poised to enter a race that has many voters anxious and searching for the perfect candidate, but do they need yet one more option? This is by Cindy Ember and Jonathan Martin. Council Bluffs, Iowa. Jackie Wellman worries that senators, and this is, they're reporting and they're talking to, Democratic voters in the field. This is one of the ones we're talking to, Jackie Wellman. Jackie Wellman worries that Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are too liberal to defeat President Trump, thinks Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, Indiana. Maybe too inexperienced. Okay, she worries that Sanders and Warren are too liberal to defeat President Trump. She thinks Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend may be too inexperienced. And while she's fine with Joe Biden, she is also uneasy about his tendency to misspeak. I'm worried about the top four candidates because they all have issues, said Ms. Wellman, a 54-year-old Iowa caucus goer from West Des Moines who likes Senator Amy Klobuchar. And Klobuchar had some interesting things to say about Bloomberg and also about Buttigieg. Ms. Wellman is not the only Democrat who keeps finding flaws as she searches for the best candidate to win the White House. Voters are holding back because just when they start to fall in love, they find something that gets them a little nervous, former Mayor Rahm Emanuel of Chicago said. The reason it's so fluid is because they're still searching for the horse that can win. Okay, and Rahm Emanuel, you can say what you want about him, but he knows Democrat politics, that's for sure. Michael Bloomberg believes that may be him, but Mr. Bloomberg's apparent decision to mount a late entry into the presidential race represents something more than just a robust self-confidence of a New York City billionaire. It's a manifestation of the Democratic angst that has been growing, particularly among moderate voters and party establishment figures. Mr. Bloomberg has jolted the Democratic primary, drawing fire from the leading liberals in the field who said he was trying to buy the presidency. Well, I think Sanders or Warren said that directly. I can't remember which one. Trying to buy the presidency while posing a direct threat to the centrist candidacy of Biden. But he has also expressed the jitters. He's also exposed the jitters among establishment-aligned Democrats who fear that the left would turn to the parties, endangering their chances of building a winning coalition. For weeks, senior Democratic officials and donors have been musing about whether a new candidate could be lured in the race, a striking illustration of nervousness just 3 months before the Iowa caucuses. Some talked up Bloomberg and Hillary Clinton, but others wondered if Sherrod Brown of Ohio might make a late entry to unite a party splintered along ideological lines. Now, the important thing about this story, and this is good, H. Sunset, how you doing? The important thing about this story is that it shows that in the Democratic Party, all these polls you've been seeing, all these publications saying, "Oh, this head-to-head," like you see on MSNBC. I watch it not just so you don't have to, again, so I don't live in a bubble. But you see MSNBC saying, "Oh, here's a poll: Biden beats Trump by 20. Here's a poll: Warren beats Trump by 10. Here's a poll: Sanders beats Trump by 15. Oh, even Buttigieg beats Trump. Oh, I think they had one poll that showed Kamala Harris beating Trump. All these, oh, see these head-to-heads. Oh, Trump's in trouble. Look out. Well, okay. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Here comes the truth, okay? This is because the New York Times doesn't want to get stuck in the same place they were, in 16, where they given Hillary Clinton 90% chance of winning the election right up until that night. Maybe I think it was higher than 90%. And then the numbers, you got to watch the Cenk Uygur, the Young Turks. That's the best election coverage meltdown on YouTube there is. If you can still find it, I don't know, they might have taken it down. But that was hilarious. I mean, watching from the beginning of the night when they're like, "Yay, she's going to win. Yay, my daughter asked me, are we going to have the first female president?" I said, "Yes, dear, we are." "Oh, Daddy, I'm so happy." He's like, bam, at the end of the night. But anyway, so they don't want to get stuck in that position, okay? The New York Times, the Post, all these big-time Democratic donors, they hate Trump. They want him to lose. So they don't want to get stuck nominating a Warren or a Sanders or a Biden who falls to pieces, and loses the general election to Trump. They want to defeat Trump no matter what. But so they need the right candidate. And they're admitting here in this piece they don't have that right candidate yet. That person is not there. Okay, Warren, okay, we saw the last polling from the New York Times poll, right behind this story. New York Times poll, that was the New York Times poll for the swing states, okay? And then you have this story. Okay, the New York Times is sending a message pretty loud and clear. We can't win with what we got now. Forget all those stupid head-to-head polls. In fact, if they show, I guarantee you, after this article in the New York Times polling, I guarantee you, if MSNBC and CNN are not going to show those stupid head-to-head contest polls anymore. Because I'm sure they're getting the same memo. Hey, look, stop saying this stupid stuff because we got to get rid of these current candidates and get somebody new in. According to Mr. H.A. Goodman, that's going to be Hillary Clinton. And you know what? That makes sense, okay? And like H.A. Goodman says, she can get 60 million votes. Let's be honest. She can raise the money, okay? She has the organization already set up in the States. And when I sent him a super chat last night asking him about the donors and stuff. And then he responded back on his live stream saying, yeah, they have all the emails and stuff. They have all their contacts in place. It's like it wouldn't take them a lot to get up and going again. I mean, they could piggyback in the field offices of other Democratic officials in other states. But here's the New York Times saying whoever we got right now in the field can't beat Trump. That's what they're saying it. They're saying it loud and clear. They're saying we don't want to get stuck on November, I think 3rd, I can't remember what the date is. I think it's November 3rd of 2020 is the election day. I can't remember. But we don't want to get stuck that night and going through the same thing they went through in 2016. So here's the message. Forget all the BS, all the fake news. I call it fraudulent news. I don't call it fake news. Fraudulent news, because when they tell a lie and they know it's not true, that's fraud. All the fraudulent news you've seen about these stupid head-to-head polls, Warren versus Trump, Sanders versus Trump, Buttigieg versus Trump, Biden versus Trump, they're admitting here those are all BS. They had no weight. Bloomberg knows it, okay? Clinton knows it. Clinton's team knows it, okay? Everybody, the real people talking truth to power know it, okay? And that's the way it is. So All those people say, oh, Trump calls them fake news and stuff. They are. I call them fraudulent news because they've been lying to their people, telling them a bill of goods, saying, oh, we can win with Warren. Look at these head-to-head matchups. We can win with Sanders. We can win with Biden. We can win with Buttigieg. Hell, we can win with Cory Booker in head-to-head. Even he wins. Now the real people, the adults in the room, are saying, okay, stop the nonsense, stop the BS, stop making everybody feel good, because you know what? We don't want to go through another election night like we did in 2016. And so here's the truth. This is why it's good to read these publications, because here's the truth. They just told the American people none of the candidates currently in the field can beat Donald Trump in 2020. There you go. Ta-da! Boom. And then you get all these leftists. They watch these stupid networks and they go, oh, see, look, see, the Trump's going to lose. Look at these head-to-heads. Yeah, well, okay, they just admitted they're all BS. When Trump calls them suppression polls and BS polls, he's right. They were. All those stupid head-to-heads were BS. But anyway, sorry to make it a rant there. Sarah Pan, do you see that response to Trump? Let's see. Vote harvesting, gonna go. Oh, hey, Kelly. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Missy. Good seeing you guys. Hey, Sunset. Molly. Good seeing you down at GTO. Good seeing you. Michelle and Oprah will run together. There you go. They'll be like, well, they're getting desperate. I mean, this is desperation time. When you see an article like this, from the New York Times, you see that polling that came out from the New York Times, on the swing states. I mean, this is desperation time. Okay, they're like, oh no, we're screwed. We're gonna lose. And they know this impeachment thing. Well, first of all, they know who's running it, right? It's Adam Schiff. Well, nobody has a lot of faith in Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff got his gig, if you will. He beat a Republican in that he lives in the Valley, north of L.A., east of L.A., and that was held by Republicans forever. He won the seat, but that was because he had George Soros money from, what was the name of the, I can't remember the name of the outfit that backed him. But, I mean, he came in with all big, $100,000 in extra cash from the Soros operation to get him in there. Because the guy he defeated was part of the one of the House managers on the Clinton impeachment. So they targeted him. They want to get rid of him. And they did, and here was Adam Schiff just wandering around like an idiot. Just let's get that guy. And of course, they brought the money, they brought the PAC money, they brought the commercial time, the organization, the staff, and they got him in. And he's been with us ever since. So early, I want to say it was 2002. I think it was. I want to say 2002. If I'm not mistaken. I can't remember for sure. But anyway, so they know he's running it, and they know he's not very bright. Okay, they know he's kind of stupid, and not just that he's stupid, it's that he doesn't play well on TV. I mean, he doesn't look good on TV. He's not the guy you want out front. He's not like, hey, because if you ever watch Greg Gutfeld, that guy that does the impersonation of Adam Schiff, the big bug eyes and stuff. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, this is not the kind of guy you want like prime time. This is not the kind of guy, if you will, that would look good on a 4K camera. Okay, this is another guy. You put him on 720. You don't put him on 4K resolution. So, so they're knowing this impeachment thing's going to go nowhere, and it's not going to hurt Trump enough that Trump's going to lose the general election. And they know that. So now this is the truth is now coming out. The truth shall set you free. Boom. None of the candidates currently in the Democratic field can beat Trump in 2020. Here's the New York Times telling you right now. Boom. That's it. So. All right, let's take a look at who else we got here. I got that story up right now. Let's see. Oh, and one of the stories I covered was now if any of you guys saw the piece I did about Steve Ricchetti and about the Clinton spy in the Biden camp, this now will confirm that story, although there was plenty of evidence for it already. So basically what you had, Steve Ricchetti is currently Biden's chief strategist. And he was Biden's chief of staff from, I want to say 2013 through 2017, through January 2017. And the way he got this job, I'll kind of go through it real quick. Okay, Ron Klain was Biden's first chief of staff when he was vice president starting in 2009. Well, they had to get rid of Ron Klain because Clinton knew in 2008 that, well, she wouldn't be running again until 2016, and she figured, okay, who's going to be my number one competitor? Well, the obvious competitor was going to be Joe Biden because he would have been vice president for 8 years, foreign policy experience, been on the news a lot. Plus, he wanted to be president. He ran in 2008. He also ran in 1988. So they knew we're gonna have to like sabotage this guy or get one of our people inside to be a spy, to be a saboteur on Joe Biden. So they worked him in, Steve Ricchetti. Ricchetti was so close to the Clintons in 1990, specifically Hillary Clinton. He was known when he worked in the Clinton White House in the 90s as Rodham Ricchetti. Okay, that was the name. That's the nickname they gave him. Rodham Ricchetti. That's how close he was. So they needed to get him inside the Biden camp, but they had to make it look like there was something going on. So it was like a scene out of The Godfather where the Godfather sending Luca Brasi to speak to the Tattaglia family. He goes, oh, pretend like we had a fallout. You go work for the Tattaglias and find out what's going on. Well, in that movie, the Tattaglias figured out and they killed Luca Brasi. But, well, in this case, Biden didn't figure out because the pitch they make to show how Rodham Ricchetti, so close to the Clintons, they say, in 2008, that his big falling out with the Clintons, you know what it was? Supposedly, he brought up the fact that, they're talking about the campaigns. And Hillary, we're in the middle of a campaign, but we're probably going to get asked some stupid questions by the press about Bill's, infidelity. So let's plan a good response to that so we're unified across all the different campaign officials and we get all our talking points out there. A good response to when they ask about, Bill Clinton's infidelities. And supposedly that got Bill super angry that somebody would bring that up. Well, that's nonsense. And Ricchetti, you see lots of pictures of Ricchetti and Bill. They're all laughing and smiling, probably doing a lot of locker room talk. So the idea that this was the big falling out, that was BS. That was a con. That was the Godfather sending Luca Brasi to talk to the Italians, pretend like we had a falling out. Well, anyway, so then he weasels his way into the White House, starts working through different staff positions, and even finds his way up to being counselor for the vice president for Joe Biden. Oh, I had a big falling out with the Clintons. I'm not with them anymore. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, come on board. Well, anyway, so first you had Ron Klain. He was Biden's first chief of staff. Well, they kind of get and they want to bring Ricchetti in, but they can't do it real quick. It'd be too obvious. So they got to kind of work him in, right? And 2016 is a few minutes away, so they don't have to do it real fast. You don't have to do it real quick. So anyway, so Ron Klain's got to go. So right away, so Steve Case, AOL, offers him to run, Case Holdings LLC. Well, Steve Case and Hillary Clinton go way back. Clinton's a big-time donor, wrote an op-ed why he was voting for Clinton in 2008, et cetera, against Barack Obama, the whole 10 yards. So he gets offered this big job. He takes it, right? Well, now they bring in Bruce Reed. Bruce Reed, again, a big Clinton person, but, again, oh, yeah, I'm not with them, so don't worry about it. He's not obnoxious about it. He's not big-time. So they bring him in, but they need to get rid of him because he's not a hatchet man. See, Ricchetti, when he was in the Clinton White House, he was in the White House initially, left, came back in 98. In his job, he was the hatchet man for Bill Clinton, for the Democrats in the House and the Senate. He was supposed to keep the Democrats in line on impeachment and then on conviction in the Senate. He was a hatchet guy. He's a rough, tough kind of guy. He doesn't look like it, okay, but he is. And so they wanted him there as chief of staff because he'd be willing to be the saboteur, not just a spy, but a saboteur. He'd be willing to do whatever it took for the Clintons, Rodham Ricchetti. So anyway, so they got Bruce Reed in there. So they got to get rid of him. Well, they find this big donor who's starting this educational thing. Bruce Reed has no experience in education or anything. He was doing charter schools, big foundation, gazillions of dollars. They're going to spend like $600 million in L.A. to convert schools into charter schools. And so he puts this guy, he hires him to put him in charge. The guy, I can't remember his name, but he was formerly a client of Hillary Clinton's back like in 1983, okay, that far back. So Bill knew him real well. Bill attended this foundation and stuff with him and everything. So they give Bruce Reed that job to run the foundation, knowing nothing about education or anything. He takes it, of course, because he's getting paid gazillions of dollars. At the time, Ricchetti is a counselor to the vice president. So, of course, he gets the job as chief of staff. That's 2013. 2015, you see from the headline, diplomat tells investigators he raised alarms in 2015 about Hunter Biden's Ukraine work but was rebuffed. Well, he says he was rebuffed by staff, by Biden's staff. And he didn't name a name, okay? But you can take a guess who it is. Because what the Clinton team wanted to do was, and for all we know, Hunter Biden, the job, when he got this offer, this job at Burisma, in Ukraine, it could have been somebody from the Clinton team that put that into his head. But one thing we do know, somebody from the Clinton team told Biden it was okay, there wasn't a conflict of interest, don't worry about it. As far as Biden, as far as your son working for Burisma or anything like that. In fact, the alarms, this story here goes to 2015. There was actually another story, went all the way back to when he first started working for Burisma as well. So now who's in place in the staff to say, oh, Joe, don't worry about it. That's nonsense. Your son can work anywhere he wants. Well, of course, because then in 2015, the story gets leaked to the New York Times by who? Gee, we wonder who, that there's a problem that Hunter Biden is working for Burisma when Joe Biden is over there doing the big thing in the Ukraine. That story was leaked to the New York Times, I want to say December 9th, 2015. Biden even goes to Clinton because now, remember, now we're getting, Clinton's already announced she's running. Biden's considering it, going back and forth about his son and everything else. He goes to Clinton. Biden goes to Clinton, asks Clinton, Hillary Clinton, hey, are you going to use this Hunter Biden thing against me in the campaign? And so this is what Hillary Clinton says. I won't, but I can't guarantee that my staff will not use it against you. Well, bam, there you go. And to this day, he still got Steve Ricchetti working for him. So anyway, obviously when the State Department was bringing these issues of concerns to Joe Biden's office, the person intercepting those concerns was Steve Ricchetti, the chief of staff, 2013, 2014, 2015, and saying, oh, no, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine because Clinton wanted Biden to have a scandal. And boom. And Ricchetti was the guy who talked Biden also out of running in 2016 because, his son had just died. It'd be a lot of work. It'd be hard to beat the Clintons, the whole 10 yards. And he's currently running his current campaign right now. And if you notice, he's having a hard time getting people to events. There's no messaging. Now, that's not getting people to events is not the fault of Joe Biden. Okay, you can get people to an event. You can get 500,000, 2,000 people to an event if you have the proper campaign team. That's easy. It's just coordination and stuff. And as far as messaging, well, the campaign's in charge of messaging. Okay, they're not doing it. Why? Because they're trying to sabotage. Well, they are sabotaging his campaign. That's why he shows up to an event. There's like 20 people there. Okay, well, there should be more like 2,000 people there, and that shouldn't be hard considering the polling numbers he has. I don't care if he's fourth in Iowa now. He's still got a lot of people supporting him and a lot of money. And they were having a hard time raising money, which was weird also. And they're just now starting to get into that. Go figure. So, all right. So let's take a look at the next story here. Let's see what we got. Oh, by the way, hold on. And let me jump. Let's see. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. Boom. Look at that. Phone lines are open. Call now. Phone lines are open. Call now. Phone lines are open. Call now. See the phone number right above, 775-273-8970, right there above me. If you want to appear by vMix video call, appear by side on the big screen here, you just send me an email. As like it says up there, send me an email to appear by video call. Email to ca2jogger, jogger is my last name, @gmail.com. And then you can appear in a video call with me, side by side, or we can bring two callers. I've done as many. We've had 8 guests on with me, a total of 9, kind of Brady Bunch style. 3 on the top, 3 in the middle, 3 on the bottom, if you will. And we do 2. We've done 2. We've done 3. We've done 4 guests, 5 guests, and then of course, like I said, up to 8 guests at a time. 8's a little unmanageable. It's really kind of hard to manage that with all the different audios and stuff. You can imagine. But yeah, 4 or 5 guests, that's always been manageable. But yeah, if you want to call in, you can appear side by side on a video call. Just put in the chat, say, hey man, I sent you an email. I don't have the email open. I have a window there, but the window's not open. And just go to the email. You send me an email. I reply to your email with the link. You hit send link. I take care of the rest on this end. Very simple. So anyway, let me get this off of here. Hold on. Boom. Anyway, the phone lines are open. Call now. So, all right, let's take a look at the next. Let me just cut over here while I find us another one. Hey, there's me. Trump 2020. Keep America great. Yay. There you go. All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at the chat real quick. They can't find a candidate. Hold on. You know what, Sarah? That's one for sharing. So hold on a sec. Let me get this up. Copy. Okay. And there we go. There we go. All right. And we get over here. Excuse me. There we go. Sarah Penna writes, of all the Democrats in America, they can't find a candidate. Ha ha. Exactly. Sorry, that's definitely one for sharing. But it's true. They can't find a candidate to beat Trump. Now, here's the deal, though. I mean, see, they're looking at it from the wrong perspective. They're saying, we can't, we have to, like, right in their head, there's like, we got to beat Trump. We got to beat Trump. And then, of course, they just hate him because, oh, he's obnoxious or whatever. I mean, some Trump derangement syndrome situation. But they don't stop to think like, well, wait a second. Well, how's he doing on the economy? See, of all these people with the Trump derangement syndrome, stopped and asked a couple of questions of themselves of, how he's doing as a president. Forget about how obnoxious you think he is or whatever. If they stopped and said, okay, how's he doing? Well, say, how's the economy doing? Well, shoot, Dow Jones is way up. Foreign investment is way up. U.S. investment, not going offshore, staying here is way up. We're taking on China on the trade wars right now. We're collecting billions in tariffs. Our farmers are doing fine. They're getting paid money from those tariffs to keep them going during all this. We got the U.S. MCA, U.S. Mexico Canada trade agreement. That's done. We got the EU. We got a good agreement for the European Union. We got NATO to be kicking in more money. We got Russia being held at bay in the Ukraine. Everybody says, oh, this aid, this is terrible that, Trump was using this aid. Well, before Trump came in, Obama didn't give the Ukrainians any military aid whatsoever. Not to mention, Trump has had U.S. fighter planes with weapons hot flying over Ukraine. Okay? Letting Putin know, you come across, though you got U.S. fighter bomber planes up above the skies above Ukraine proper. So, he's been doing all that. Okay, he's held the line in the Ukraine. So you look at the economy, look at foreign policy, immigration. He's putting a halt to that. He's made deals with El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico to get that under control. You don't hear about that anymore. I mean, so unemployment numbers are the best in recorded history across all lines, across all ethnic lines. Employment numbers are the highest they've ever been as far as most people working. Wages are up the highest in like 17, 18 years, 19 years, I think it is. So if they stopped and said, well, gee, how's he doing as president? And then they said, well, gee, we can't find we can't find a candidate to beat him. It's like, well, yeah, no kidding. Who could beat him? Who could beat that record? See, so they're asking the wrong question. It's like, we can't find a candidate to beat Trump. It's like they should be saying, is there a candidate who can beat that record? Answer, no, there isn't. There isn't a candidate who can beat that record. Okay, the country's doing really well. And then the people in the circus over there at the House, trust me, the House of Representatives is not always known for, again, these are like small little districts they run in, right? So they're not necessarily known for being great statesmen or showmen. That's the senators. They have to run for statewide offices. So they have to be able to go across their state with large media, buy-ins and stuff, and talk to a lot of people and be able to communicate well. Okay, so they have to be kind of more movie stars than the people in the House. That's always been the case. Well, that's really showing itself in true form. You see a lot of these guys in the House, like Schiff, they're not really made for prime time, like I was saying. So, and these guys, they're not going to be able to do much as far as convincing the American people. They're like, these guys are kind of weird, like Nadler. I mean, look at that guy. I mean, really, I mean, would you want to hang out with that guy the way he looks, a big fat dude, and then, you got, Schiff, I mean, and Pelosi, I mean, Parkinson's syndrome and everything. I mean, these are not made for primetime players, okay? They're just not charismatic, they're just, I don't know. So, but they're saying, oh, we can't find anybody to beat him. Well, you can't beat his record. Now, his record sucked. And he's getting us out of wars, and you got liberals having to make the tortured argument. I'm sure a lot of people on the left are saying, well, wait a second, why are you against him pulling troops out of Syria? Oh, we got to protect the Kurds. And they're like, wait a second, we're just against fighting in foreign wars. Kurds be damned. Who the hell are the Kurds? Pick a name: Kurds, Syrians, Saudis, Kuwaitis, Iraqis, Iranians. What difference does it make to people on the left? They're supposed to not want to get involved in any of this. So they're saying, wait a second, why are we torturing ourselves to say we should be over someplace when we've always been against it? So I mean, it's all this inconsistency going on in the Democrat Party right now. So there is nobody who can beat this record. That's the problem they're having, and they don't look at that enough because they just see this orange guy. And they hate him, and they get this visceral kind of reactions, like they get a rash or something. When they think of him, people, literally, Trump derangement syndrome. There's actually psychiatrists diagnosing people with Trump anxiety disorder. I mean, is something wrong with these people? I mean, I don't know. I've never seen that before. I've seen people not like politicians, but I've never seen like the guttural hatred, and it clouds their judgment. Remember in Godfather 3, and Al Pacino's talking to Andy Garcia, and they're in the helicopter after the big shootout, and Andy Garcia is talking trash about the guy who just assassinated all these other mobsters. And Al Pacino, Michael Corleone says to Andy Garcia, supposed to be Sonny Corleone's kid, and he says to him, "Don't hate your enemies; it clouds your judgment." Well, that's the Democrat Party right there. They hate Trump, and it clouds their judgment. Yeah, they can't find a candidate to beat Trump because you can't beat his record. And the American people are like, hey, things are going pretty good. And a lot of these tax cuts are really, you're going to start seeing it this year. People are going to be filing. They start filing in January, February, March. That's when you see the real benefits of the tax cuts for the individuals come in. They kick in now. A lot of people say, "Oh, we wanted them kicked in sooner." Well, maybe maybe not. Maybe it's not so bad they got kicked in like 2019 and then more in 2020. That's okay because it's the 2020 election. So people are going to be remembering that. Like when they start getting their returns back, the refunds back, or they have to pay less on their taxes when they're doing them like February, March, April, May, that kind of stuff. Up there I am. Hey, that looks pretty goofy. Yeah, that was pretty goofy there. The way I was frozen too. Of course, I had to freeze up looking like goofy. So anyway, not good. All right, let's take a look here over the chat real quick here. Boom. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, Trump anxiety. TAD. Trump anxiety disorder. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Trump is the. Oh, okay, James. That's one for sharing. Hold on, let's get that up there. Hold on. Definitely got to get that one up there. That's a good one. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Do. Oh. Oh. All right. See. Yeah, let's get that one up there. James Whalen writes, Trump is the Dennis Rodman of presidents. Some people can't stand him, but all he does is win, win, win. Yep, that is a good analogy. I like that. That's true. That's definitely good. There we go. Okay. Shady Bunch. Shady Bunch. There we go. Hopefully Democrats will be low. Primary turnout might might show the story. Yeah, Keely, I agree. I think that's probably worth looking at to see what the turnout in the primaries, is going to be, right? Because those are your diehards, both for our side and their side. So, but yeah, that's going to show up. Oh, Bruce, see H Sun. Bruce sounds fun. I wish I had gone to a rally when I could. Yeah, H Sun said I've been to 2 Trump rallies. Definitely worth going to, without a doubt. Everything you see on TV when you're watching them, it's even more fun. You get to, obviously you have to get there early because they get through the metal detectors and everything. And, we barely, when I went, I thought we left way early. We didn't, that it come to find out. And it's a big, long line, get through the metal detectors. They have a lot of metal detectors, don't get me wrong. They have a lot to, people to process you. But still, you got to get there way early. But the nice thing about getting there early is you're hanging out with people. Like people who are hanging out in line, well, they're people like us. They're like really cool. So you get, you're BSing and stuff and talking. And there's all, everybody's got their phones with them and we're all, watching different stories and everything. So I mean, it's like it's really just a cool scene for sure. James, hey, I'm right with you on that age thing, man. I'm right with you on the age thing. But yeah, I voted for Ronald Reagan, 1984. First time I got to vote in a presidential election, 1984. So okay, let's take a look here. Let's see if we find some other stories here real quick. Let's take a look. Boom, boom, boom. Some of the stuff on the cover. Oh, okay, so let's see here. Democratic. Here we go. It might help to get it actually over there so you can see it. Now let's try that. Hey, let's try that. Okay. Okay. There we go. So the 2020 Democratic presidential candidates Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders from Business Insider. I just subscribed to this today. Bernie Sanders had something to say about reports that Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire former mayor of New York, was taking steps to enter the presidential race. So let's take a look. 2020 Democratic presidential candidates Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have proposed new taxes on ultra-wealthy Americans. Excuse me. So it is perhaps comes as no surprise that the two senators had responses to reports that Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire former mayor of New York, was taking steps to enter the presidential race. Warren welcomed Bloomberg to the 2020 race with a tweet. A real smart-ass tweet. But the welcome came with an edge as she added a link to her billionaire calculator, which estimates the tax rate of billionaires under her proposed wealth tax. So she writes on her tweet to pretty much to Bloomberg, if you're looking for policy plans that will make a huge difference for working people and which are very popular, start here, Massachusetts Senator wrote in that tweet, linking her billionaire calculator, which she created seemingly as a jab to critics of the tax hike like Bill Gates and Leon Cooperman. So anyway, yeah, but yeah, well, again, that wealth tax is one that won't get past the Supreme Court, unconstitutional. It's like a head tax. It's actually written into the Constitution. You can do like a head tax, like if you'll see it. It's like I can't remember what section it's in, what article it's in, rather. God darn it. Anyway, it's there. Trust me, I read it. So that's unconstitutional. And then, of course, increasing corporate tax rates. Again, that drives foreign investment away. It drives American investment away. People say, well, gee, like in the 50s, we had to pay like 80, 90% tax rate. Yeah, dummies, because in the 50s, there was no Japan, there was no China, there was no Europe. Europe was just coming out of World War II still. The only place Americans could put their money safely and make some money on it was the United States of America itself. So we could have high taxes because American investors had no choice. If they wanted to invest or make things, they had to do it here in the United States. Well, in 1960, Kennedy, a lot of his rich friends, and he's rich, his family's rich, they said, hey, look, things are starting to come online around the world. We don't have to keep our money here if we don't want to. You better lower tax rates. And so, of course, Kennedy lowered tax rates in 1961, 62. And then there's where it started because so now money can move overseas offshore really easily. You can go to China, you can go to Vietnam, you can go to India, you can go to Thailand, you can go to Ghana, you can go to Mexico, you can go anywhere. Okay, with lower tax rates. You can go to Europe, which has again a lower tax rate, 15%. So yeah, raise it up to 38, 40%. See how many jobs get created after that? Like none. Okay, none, and we're all going to be unemployed, literally. And those of us with small businesses will be like going, damn, I guess I'm living in the mountains. Well, I guess that's not so bad. But anyway, I'll be living. I want to live in the mountains, but I don't want to be forced to live in the mountains. Let's put it that way. So, if I want to live in the mountains, I'll do it. I don't want to have to go live in the mountains and forage for food, and be a hunter gatherer, and chase animals and track them and stuff. Hey, funny thing, my last name, Jogger, was like Jurger. A Jurger in Bavaria, I believe it was a guy like you, like a smith was like a blacksmith, a baker, John Baker. A baker was a baker in people's last names. Well, a Jurger was actually a tracker. And what a Jurger did was, before the barons and all the rich guys went out on the big, the fox hunt, the Jurger would go out ahead of time to put the dogs in the right direction so they weren't chasing all over the creation. So he was like a tracker, which is actually pretty good because everybody in my family really good hunters. So, so there you go. Anyway, I don't know why I talked about that, but there it is. So so there's Bloomberg getting hit by Warren, and then Sanders, he chimes in. Let's see what he says. Let's see. Well, she goes, the wealthy and well-connected are scared. They're scared that under a Warren presidency, they would no longer have a government that caters to their every need. And then Sanders' response to Bloomberg's run also came with a dig, but the Vermont senator didn't directly tag the former New York mayor in the tweet. While Sanders doesn't have a billionaire calculator like Warren, he has proposed a similar wealth tax on the richest Americans. And Sanders says, let's see, I'll try to do a Sanders. The billionaire class is scared, and they should be scared. See, HA does it way so much better. The billionaire class is scared, and they should be scared. Sanders tweeted following reports that Bloomberg was contemplating a run. So, yeah, the billionaires, the guys who create the jobs in this country. All right, let's take a look at let's see. And here's a little, it's not really interesting. Oh, here's a nice little story. There we go. Trump wants to award dog injured in Baghdad raid a Purple Heart. Now, who doesn't like a story like that? I mean, that sounds excellent. So, it's from the Washington Examiner. Let's see the chat. Let's see. All right. Oh, there's a picture of the German Shepherd. Yay, we like German Shepherds here. Cartman at the Carlin Cartman site. We like German Shepherds. There's one. Yes, tongue hanging out and everything. President Trump reportedly wants to give Conan, of course, that's a cool name, the dog who was who was injured in the raid that killed Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, one of the military's top honors. The White House is looking into the logistics behind. Oh, let's try to keep the dog up. The White House is looking into the logistics behind giving the medal, which is only allowed to be given to humans, to the military working dog, according to the New York Post. It's the president's desire to honor the dog. They're working out the details. Okay, and they were joking like maybe he'll get to swing. He could swing the animal lovers vote. Maybe something like that. I don't know, or they get the dog vote. But yeah, there was a rule they put back in place in 1943 that only humans could get Purple Hearts because they gave one to a dog like in the Pacific Theater, and somebody thought that wasn't a good idea. I don't know why. I mean, we all know, if you live in, small towns, even big cities, we all have K9 units and stuff. And, everybody, loves the dogs, the K9 units and stuff. There's I saw a really sad YouTube video. Oh, God. It was this guy, he had to take his German Shepherd to the vet to be put down. It was the K9, and they had the cops out there with the lights on, and everybody was on salute because he had cancer and it was not treatable, and they carried the dog into the hospital. And it was like really just sad. So I mean, who's not in favor of this? Probably some leftist goes, "Oh, this is bad." Well, screw you. Give the dog a medal. Hey, did you change? You probably bit the guy too. That's why the guy when Trump said he was screaming like a baby, this dog was probably biting him on the butt or something. Then like when he went to set the bomb off. And let me tell you something. This dog was chasing him. This is like one of those bomb detection dogs. Okay, that guy had a suicide vest on. That guy had a bomb on him. That dog could smell it, and that dog was still chasing him. Think about that for a second. That dog knew that was a bomb, and that dog's been told that bombs are bad. Okay, and this dog's still chasing this guy with a bomb on, and he probably bit him. And then maybe when the bomb went, maybe he ducked and got behind a rock or something when the bomb went off because he did get injured. So, but anyway, let's do that. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, Vince, I don't know why they forced that change. It's like, why? I mean, whose idea was that? I don't know. But anyway, here's a story on immigration. We usually cover immigration on this site, so here we go. So the story from the Washington Times, and it says, "No harm, question mark. Most illegals in Mississippi ICE raid stole American identities." So the big story was, there's no harm when, illegals, do these jobs. And of course the joke was, not a joke, but they always say illegals only doing the jobs that, Americans won't. Well, that's totally false. That was after like those 600 illegal aliens got picked up in those ICE raids from those Mississippi chicken processing plants. They had to have a big job fair, right? So sure enough, there's the media, trying to guilt these people to, why are you looking for this job? Well, they actually were trying to guilt some black dude, a U.S. citizen, obviously, and saying, oh, why are you here trying to take these jobs from these people? Here's this guy, a black guy, who has every right to be a U.S. citizen, who, if he's a descendant of slaves, definitely has the right to be called a U.S. citizen for all the shit his ancestors went through. So, and here's his reporter sticking a microphone in his face saying, well, don't you feel bad about taking this job, from a foreign national? So a U.S. citizen is supposed to feel bad about taking jobs from foreign nationals. Well, obviously it's not only the kind of job an illegal would do, because obviously here was all these U.S. citizens lined up, driving big distances to get down here. There were Hispanic Americans, there were African Americans, there were white Americans, just a bunch of Americans in this big parking lot of this job fair going to get these quote-unquote jobs that only illegals will do. Well, that's nonsense. So anyway, and they would say, well, there's no harm. Well, there is harm. Because why? Because most of the illegals they caught in the Mississippi ICE raid had stolen American identities. Okay? There's your credit. There's everything else. There's suddenly you owe this debt. Suddenly people opening bank accounts or getting into your bank accounts. Okay, so here we go. Washington Times. Most of the 680 illegal immigrants nabbed in August's immigration raid at poultry plants in Mississippi worked under stolen American identities, the Department of Homeland Security's top investigator told Congress Thursday, rebuffing Democrats who insisted the undocumented workers were doing no harm. They stole the IDs of 400 U.S. citizens. 400 U.S. citizens' IDs were stolen, said Jerry Miles, who leads Homeland Security Investigations' New Orleans office. Where's their voice? Yeah, there you go. Mr. Miles was defending the August 7th operations against 7 processing plants as both a success and a deterrent to future illegal immigrants battling with Democrats on the House Homeland Security Committee, who called a field hearing in Mississippi to criticize the raids. Yeah, well, there you go. So, and let's see, what's the other story I want to cover here? And this is a really good editorial that says it better than I could. And this was written by the Washington Times. And what is this? Unforget. Oh, great. How do I get a commercial in here? Here we go. There we go. All right. So, Washington Times. This guy. This is an op-ed from the Washington Times. Right. He does a better job than I can do on this. So we'll read his. He writes the Washington Post and liberal media again get it wrong about the Trump economy. It's all a problem when all of the Washington Post fact checkers play for the liberal team. This is by Stephen Moore. This was written today, November 9th. Analysis opinion. So he writes, first, a full admission about this article. All right, let me get a cigarette first. Thanks, guys. Oh, Keely, sorry to hear about your brother, man. Girl, lady, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I lost my brother too. No fun. I totally understand that. So hope everything goes good there. It doesn't get better. I'll tell you right now. It doesn't get better. It just, you learn, it doesn't even get easier, but you just learn how to, like, work with it. That's, well, I know I'm looking over here. I should be looking at the camera. You just learn how to, I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at your chat right now. So it doesn't get better. It doesn't get easier. You just learn how to work with it. That's, I mean, other people have gone through that. I've heard the same thing from them, and that's my experience. It's my experience. Maybe everybody does it differently, but that's my experience. So anyway, so we're going to get back to the story. So first, a full admission about this article. This is again from Stephen Moore of the Washington Times. I originally sent a version of it to the Washington Post for publication, but for reasons that will become obvious as you read on, they rejected it. Here's a backstory. Several weeks ago, I reported on the very large increase in median household incomes under Donald Trump. Based on Census Bureau monthly data from January 2017, when President Trump entered office through August 2019, middle-class household incomes had risen from $61,000 to an all-time high of $66,000 per year. And these numbers are in 2019 dollars. That is, they are adjusted for inflation. Trump has repeatedly cited these numbers. So since January 2017 to August 2019, middle-class household income have risen $5,000 a year. That's nice. That's really nice. Okay? So, and those are adjusted for inflation. So anyway, and Trump has repeatedly cited these numbers. So the left, so he writes, Stephen Moore writes, the left freaked out for understandable reasons. They are especially agitated because median household incomes have risen by $5,000 under Mr. Trump compared to $1,100 in 7 years under President Obama. See chart down below. We'll show you that in a second. The data also undermines the case against Mr. Trump, which, as Elizabeth Warren likes to say in every speech, the middle class has been left behind by Trump's policies. And Stephen writes, that's flat out wrong, which it is. The self-proclaimed fact-checkers on the left went to work to try to discredit the numbers. This includes the Washington Post, PolitiFact, and others. As an aside, we have a big problem in America when the quote-unquote fact-checkers are all playing for the liberal team. Really, so they're not like neutral fact-checkers, okay? A case in point is the liberal PolitiFact, which declared in a screaming headline, Trump's shaky $5,000 boast. The Washington Post gave Mr. Trump 2 Pinocchios for claiming these income gains and said Trump inflates his economic record. A general complaint is that these numbers are assembled by a private organization called Centier Research, but the 2 Centier statisticians who analyze his monthly census current population survey data, the goldmine of economic information, are probably the most knowledgeable people in the country of this survey data. The 2 of them worked on the income division of the Census Bureau for a combined 40 years. They are scrupulously nonpartisan, and no one has ever challenged their integrity. And Gordon Green of Centier says, we just report the data. The Washington Post challenged the reliability of this data, even though on numerous occasions the Post and the New York Times have cited Centier's research. Excuse me, get some water. So even though the Post and the Times have cited their research in the past, they were challenging the reliability of it. So apparently, Censure is reliable when it tells the Trump haters what they want to hear, and wholly unreliable when the data supports Mr. Trump. So here's the little chart I promised you. Let's see if this comes up good. The middle class. Let's see. Can you see it right there? Let me put it down. There you go. The middle class president. So here's Bush during his term, 2 terms. Middle class income gains in September 2019 $402 per year under George W. Bush. Under President Obama, $1,044 per year. Per year. Under President Trump, it's $5,228 per year. Okay, increase in middle class income. And numbers don't lie. Okay, now, if this offends your feelings, well, you're probably on the wrong site. But anyway, again, facts matter, feelings don't. These are facts. These are numbers. These are real dollars. $5,228 per year increase in household median income. Okay, compared to President Obama in 7 years, only went up 1,044. 7 years for George Bush only went up 402 per year. So Stephen Moore writes, admittedly, these monthly numbers are a first estimate of what is happening with incomes over time and up to the moment. They catch the trends over time. In the absence of this data, the latest income data is far lagged by at least a year, and so this tells us with about 90% accuracy what is going on in real time. Next, the Post complained that the income data needs to be adjusted for inflation. Actually, and Stephen Moore writes, all of the Censure data is inflation adjusted. They figured we got to find something wrong with it. Next, they quoted Lou Jacobson of PolitiFact, who claimed that even taking the expected 29 statistics into account, the increase under Trump in the official data should be smaller than the increase Censure data shows. And so anyway, Stephen Moore writes, sorry, Lou, we already know this was a fumble in your own end zone. The latest data that has come out this last week shows the income numbers increasing to 5,200, not falling. So then the skeptics whine that we shouldn't compare Trump's record with Obama's because Obama inherited a deep recession. Well, if anything, they should be going up, though, right? But anyway, that's true, of course, but incomes continued to plummet for 2 years after the Bush recession that he, quote-unquote, inherited, right? So even for 2 years after the recession ended during Obama's term, income still kept going down. So you can't blame Bush for that. Moreover, it was the Washington Post which editorialized before the 2016 election that a Trump presidency risked ruining the U.S. economy and causing a global financial calamity. I remember that. So it's more than a little hypocritical for the Post to now claim that the Trump boom that they never saw coming is simply... Here, hold on a sec. Let me get some water. All right, I'm back. All right, so anyway, so it is more than a little hypocritical for the Post to now claim that the Trump boom that they never saw coming is simply a continuation of the Obama recovery. Every fair-minded person knows that if the economy were in recession now, liberals would be shouting, aha, Trump's policies failed. So anyway, so Stephen writes, here's one of my favorite ridiculous claims by the Post in attacking Mr. Trump's rumbling distortions on income gains. The reporter noted that the middle class isn't doing that well because on an inflation-adjusted basis, American families are earning just 2.7% more than they did in 1999. So he's like, but the flat family income between 99 and 2016 is exactly what makes the Trump surge in income so impressive. Yes, it's true, incomes barely budged during the Bush and Obama years, of less than $1,200 total between the two of them. But does Mr. Trump get the blame for their lousy record too? Well, hopefully not. Okay, if the Post and others in the liberal media really cared about middle-class families, they would be cheering these gains for scores of millions of households, right? Saying, hey, God, you guys are doing really good. But, of course, they won't. But the left hates Mr. Trump, so they feverishly root against the economy. In other words, they feverishly root against the middle class. It's not that these facts aren't true. It's that the left doesn't want the good news to be true. This is why the Post refused to allow me to correct the record. The grand irony of all of this is these are the people who assigned Trump Pinocchio noses, but he isn't the one guilty of rambling distortions. Yeah, I thought he wrote that pretty good. And then another good editorial here. Dangerous, troubling, anonymous times for America. Namely, we're seeing all these reports by anonymous sources, and newspapers generally would always turn those away. Let's see. It's in 5 minutes, 40 seconds. I'm seeing live show starts in 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Just an intermission. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Sorry about the loss. I'm seeing the live show. Oh, Vince, are you seeing something on the screen? Let's see. I don't see anything on my screen. Let's see. Nope. Nope. The show is now. I don't know why you see a countdown. Yeah, Vince, I had a countdown clock for 30 minutes prior to actually going live. I mean, I was live, if you will. In other words, if you go off and click back, you might click the beginning. I don't know. But yeah, we're on right now, man. We're here. So yeah, just fast forward it. What you got to do, sometimes you'll hit something and it'll go back. What you got to do is take your mouse, left click it, put it on the bottom line going across, and bring it all the way to the right, and then click, bang, and then click it over. So sometimes you actually hit something and you go back in time on the video. The chat doesn't go back in time. The chat stays right where it is. But you're probably listening to music right now. So well, this is stupid. I don't know why I'm telling you this because you can't hear me because you're listening to music. Hey, somebody tell him to right-click, put his mouse, his cursor, right-click on the red line on the bottom, and then bring it all the way to the right, and then click it, and then it'll bring up his screen to current time. But, yeah, because the chat stays constant, but you can go backwards on the video because it's DVR'd, so you can actually go back 4 hours backwards on it. So he might have actually hit something. So somebody in there just tell Vince what he needs to do or something. Or maybe just go out and come back again, reboot it, and then come back. And he should come back. Should come back to where it's live if he does that, because we're live right now. So he should be able to do that. But all right. So anyway, dangerous, troubling, anonymous times for America. So this is again by the Washington Times, their opinion piece written by Cheryl K. Chumley, and that was written again today. So she writes, it's not overstating to say that the Democrats have been trying to impeach President Donald Trump since day one of his White House term, since before day one even, when he was still taking laps in the winner's circle and inauguration was just stepping into planning mode. But there's a growing, troubling anti-Trump hatchet trend in town, and it's called anonymous. Democrats may talk a big transparency in government talk, yet they're walking in secrecy. They're cloaking their political designs in darkness. First came the secret media sources, the secret op-ed writers. Newspapers that once scorned anonymous and shied from citing unnamed sources suddenly started publishing them with eyebrow-raising frequency. For the good of national security, for the safety of the American citizen, don't you know? Then came the secret whistleblowers, carting with them whole new definitions of what constitutes a whistleblower. And actually, if you saw last night's show, you'll see that this guy doesn't even fit in the damn statute. 50 U.S.C. 3033, subsection K, subsection 5A through subsection G. Doesn't fit into the statute. He's not a whistleblower. He should not be afforded any protections, and he probably should be, charged with treason for leaking classified information. Because you're just by saying your attorney told you could, and your attorney told you're a whistleblower, it doesn't get you not guilty. Sorry, it doesn't work. Otherwise, every criminal defendant would say, "Well, my attorney told me," and then suddenly you're off the hook. No, it doesn't work that way. So anyway. Then came the secret whistleblowers, carting with them whole new definitions of what constitutes a whistleblower, and foisting onto the public entire new rules and regulations of just what protections these supposed whistleblowers are to receive and by whom. Now, Democrats have a secret author, a so-called senior Trump administration official, who a year after penning a secret op-ed in the New York Times about the horrors of this White House, just wrote and released a longer version, a warning in it. The author described Trump's leadership style as chaotic and crazy, and said that officials awaken each day in full-blown panic. Oh my God, he can't get anything done. It's like, oh my God, wondering what troubles might come in the looming hours from the president's Twitter account. Oh no, we better get up early, because he'll be twittering early, and we better get there, because we don't know what's going to happen? The whole place is in chaos. It's like, yeah, how's the economy doing? Oh, really good. Oh, how about unemployment? Great. How about unemployment among Hispanic Americans? Oh, lowest record in all time. How about among African Americans? Unemployment, oh, lowest in history. How about among veterans? Lowest in history. Oh, how about among Asian Americans? Oh, lowest in history. How about among women? Oh, unemployment, lowest since like 1953 or something. Oh, gee, wow, there's all this chaos going on in the White House. How's anything getting done? Or is Trump starting any new wars? Is he lobbing any missiles at anybody? Well, no, actually, he's like sticking his neck out, North Korea, like, he sent that tweet out saying, "Hey Kim, I'll meet you, at the DMZ, and I'll go, say hi to you, and I'll cross over into your country if you're interested." And he stuck his neck out for the American people to protect, keep American, soldiers alive and not fighting in wars. So he stuck his neck out. Kim could have slapped his hand and said, "Oh," it embarrassed him. It made him go all the way over there and then not show up. But he did. He risked all that for us. So yeah, he's a really bad guy. He's trying to get us out of Afghanistan right now, an 18-year-plus war now. He's trying to get us out of Syria and stuff. But he grabbed some oil in the meantime. Hey, so we can get paid for all the money we spent over there. Good deal. And economy's doing good. Foreign policy. He's friendly with the Mexican president. It's like, go figure. He's got great deals set up with El Salvador and Honduras and Guatemala. Also, the USMCA. He's got the Europeans paying more money for their defense. He got Putin back on his heels there. He hasn't encroached any more into Ukraine because he took over the Crimea during the last guy when he was in office, President Obama. Yeah, he's got just this crazy White House. It's like, how does anything get done? It's like you'd think like the economy would be like terrible right now in the world. We'd be at war. This crazy, chaotic, full-blown panic every day. See, this is more bullshit. Okay, this is like we talked about at the beginning of this segment. We said all the MSNBC and polls, those head-to-head polls showing Biden beating Trump, Warren beating Trump, Sanders beating Trump, Buttigieg beating Trump, Kamala Harris beating Trump, Cory Booker beating Trump. All that was bullshit. Because here's a Time story today saying it's bullshit because we're saying we don't have, the Democrats, the Democrats, we don't have a candidate that can beat President Trump. So all that head-to-head shit that we've been touting around for the last 5 months was bullshit. So this idiot who's writing this story is full of shit also. Why? Because all these great things are happening, not by accident. Okay, they're happening because somebody's getting it done in the White House. The guy leading it is President Trump. So all this nonsense, this is just telling people they want to hear. Okay, the people on the left. Oh, it's chaotic. Oh, people are in full-blown panicking. We don't know what we're going to do. We're going to do a mass exodus, we're going to mass resignation. We're going to just split from the U.S. government. We're so freaked out. We don't know what's going to happen. There's nobody at the helm of the ship. Oh, my God. Even though we have all these great results. Okay, again, I got to vote for Ronald Reagan in 1984. I'm very proud of that fact. I love Ronald Reagan, but Trump has a higher conservative rating than Reagan did, and he's got more done in less than 3 years than Reagan got done in 8 years. Period. That's just the way it is. He's a better president than Ronald Reagan. He's the best president in my lifetime. Period. Okay? So all this bullshit is just that. So again, and Shumley's had enough of it. She's just getting tired of it. You can just see it. I think she comes all the way down into the end. So basically psychologists call it, so this is what she writes. First comes the anonymous sources, then come the Trump haters in the media to bring out the pundits, all these great pundits that are full of shit, pundits and analysts to confirm and give credence to the anonymous sources. Then comes the wash, rinse, and repeat. A few media cycles later, anonymous has become fact, because after all, nothing says fact like repetition, right? Psychologists call it the illusion of truth. Joseph Goebbels called it the law of propaganda. Either way, it's a principle that if a lie is repeated long enough and loud enough, it becomes truth. America, beware. Anonymous is not tantamount to truth. Anonymous sources are not tantamount to truth. This republic cannot survive in darkness. Boom. Damn straight. All right. Well, anyway, I tell you what, I've been on for a little over an hour, about an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Hold on a sec. There we go. I'm going to just first thing to do is get over here. Boom, boom. All right, there's me. So anyway, I've been on for about an hour and 20 minutes, and I want to thank I have some real intelligent chat, by the way. Thanks, guys. We're going back and forth reading the chat and stuff. Really good. Hey, Lyle, good seeing you down there, and hopefully, Vince, you got that figured out. Good deal. And good seeing everybody in the chat. I'm not going to throw all the names because I know I'll miss somebody. I don't like doing that, but I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat, everybody who's been watching us, everybody who'll be watching us later. Again, great chat tonight. So anybody watching the replay, definitely keep your eye on the chat tonight. Some really good comments in the chat room tonight. So, but anyway, I'll be on HA. Of course, I'm sure we'll be going live later tonight, and of course, I'll be over there. And like I said, I changed my normal starting time because I like watching his live stream. So it's like I want to watch his live stream. So my starting time used to be 10 o'clock. Anybody who's been on my site for a while, but I like watching his live stream. He usually comes on after 10. I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to miss his live stream. So that's why I cut my start times to either 7 or 8 o'clock at night from now on. So again, to everybody who's been watching us, this is Carl for Carl's Opinion. Thanks so much, and you guys just have a great night. Take care, guys. Bye bye.